Hello and welcome to Red, White, and Bi.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ash.
And this is, guys, Ash, it's episode 30.
Episode 30.
We're like fully middle-aged.
You and I disagree with what middle-aged means, and
Okay.
I know you're right.
Well,
but I don't care.
I don't know how to respond to that. But like I'll agree just right now that 30 is a little young for middle age. I think 35 to 40 is proper middle-aged.
And I always say like 45 because I'm an optimist.
I think if we live to be 90, you'll be right and I'll be miserable. Who wants to be 90? I don't know.
I already hurt and I'm young.
Yeah, my knees can't do this for, I don't know, 60 more years.
My neck can't do this for 16 more months. Whee!
Anyway, episode 30 though, that feels like a big deal. We've been doing this for, gosh.
30 weeks.
Well, no, because we do it like
Yeah.
every other week. So I would say, I don't know, or we might even be close to a year. We've researched this not at all. So I'm going to have Ash talk a little bit while I look up and see when our first thing was actually published.
And I will talk a little bit about our poll from last week. We had asked if you guys would still be willing to travel to Mexico. And the results were split evenly, 50-50, between yes and never again. No wait and see, no time will tell, as Hannah put it. Just hardliners all the way. Yes, definitely, or never again.
Which I don't understand. Like, I feel like the reasonable answer here, I mean, I know what my answer is. And it's not the reasonable one. But the reasonable answer is that, like, time will tell. Like, let's wait it out. Like, anything can change. See what the future holds. Nobody feels that way.
I think, in part, some of this might be influenced by, like, where we come from. So, Hannah and I are both Michiganders, and I don't feel like you can live a life, get away with, like, never going to Detroit.
Oh, no, no.
So just because there were riots there one time, like, in the United States, you can't get away with, like, not going to a major city that was once the murder capital. Like, you can't just avoid Detroit and Flint for your whole life. It's not going to work out.
I feel like I've pretty fairly well avoided Flint. I've passed through it. I got a pet from it. And like I've driven through it a couple times, but like I don't think I've ever had to do anything in Flint proper. But like you're right, but if you live in Southeast Michigan, you're going to be in one of those cities at some point. For me personally, I'm in Detroit all the time.
Flint is the better airport.
Flint is the like quiet, best kept secret airport for sure.
So if you can fly into or out of Flint instead of going to Detroit, recommend. All that said, it's a little different. I'm sure that like you can avoid a whole country when you don't live there. But do you really want to? Like, we don't avoid Detroit. There's stuff to do here. Some people would feel that way about Mexico too.
Yeah, and if you're from Michigan, this is like goes without explaining, but just in case you're not, we have like the really rural part of our state is in the northern area. So like we have our upper peninsula, but even just like the northern part of the lower peninsula is still really rural and has some beautiful beaches and like vacation destinations. So we say, you know, if you're going to go like out to the countryside and be in some like pine forest and beach area, you're going up north. So I feel like Mexico is almost like if up north was down south for the country. It's like, I don't know, it's like our backyard. It's like our vacation backyard. You're not going to take a fucking vacation to Canada. I'm sorry, you're just not.
No.
But like Mexico's right there.
The thing is though, the reason like I have never felt a strong impulse to go to Mexico is because we do have like tropical destinations in the United States and like
yeah, you could totally just go to Florida and have a similar experience.
Or if you wanted to go like bougie, you could go to Hawaii. you know?
Right.
So, like, to me, there's the cheaper version. Like, you can do Myrtle Beach, you can do somewhere in Florida, or you can do Hawaii.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, well, why do I have to, like, go through the hassle of crossing a border?
Or hell, go to Puerto Rico. You're crossing a giant body of water. You're technically still in the U.S.
Yeah.
And you still get your Latin flair.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. That's true. So maybe for a time, if people are scared, they can help the people of Puerto Rico out, because I feel like they never have a great time. Like, it's not enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Puerto Rico has gotten shit on. And listen, in my professional group, my title has a Facebook group online, and a Facebook group online? Am I this old? Has a Facebook group, and there are some people who do my job in Puerto Rico, and they talk about, like, the cost of living versus your income, and just, like, the resources and the infrastructure and stuff, and it sounds rough. It sounds rough, and they could use a break. I mean, they're part of the United States, for Christ's sake. Like, we could do better by them, is all I mean.
You know, it's funny that Hannah points out, like, oh, I sounded old because I said a Facebook group online. I told her this morning, like, I bought a phone on the internet. I was like, I'm gonna become one of those people that said we watched the show on the HBO when it was a movie. And
Have
I
you
called
gone
it
to the cinema to see a film?
the HBO. Oh, what's gonna happen to us? Thank you, dear listener, for hanging on as we age before you.
In real time. Speaking of aging and getting better as we do, what you drinking, Ash?
I'm sticking this time. I'm being good with the rum and Coke because there's no yeast, no glutens in the rum and Coke, and so that's safer for my ulcers. What about you?
My lovely wife, when she was out and about today, picked up a bottle of Cointreau because we were out, and so I'm enjoying a late cozy season chocolate orange old fashioned, chocolate bourbon, regular bourbon, Cointreau, and some orange bitters. That's so good.
I'm glad you remembered the bitters. It does make a huge difference.
Yeah, it really sets it off.
So we got a lot to talk about.
Dude,
some big news.
Some big news that we're talking about late, because I swear to God, we were in between recording and editing when Iran happened. And we debated for a second, like, what if we talk about it a little bit and add it on before we edit? But I think the episode was fine as it was. It was long enough without being too long, and we just wanted to sleep well enough alone. But yeah, dude, let's talk about this.
And leave it to my skeptical ass to know the likelihood that if the United States bombed Iran, it would happen on a Saturday night, or Friday into Saturday. We recorded on Friday, and then Saturday morning, it's like, oh shit, they bombed Iran.
Now,
but
what made you think that? The day of the week?
Well, it's like Operation Midnight Hammer. It was done the same way.
Okay.
And people typically, like, on...
Which one was Midnight Hammer?
So it was when Salami was killed.
Salami was killed?
Yeah, so the last, big operation that Trump would have done during his first administration was called Midnight Hammer, because there's always, like, something stupid.
I'm kind of joking, but I don't know who Salami.
Another terrorist. But, so things that we didn't know about that last operation was that American troops were attacked, and likely with chemical weapons.
Syria.
No, in this case, it was Iran attacked.
Okay.
So, this all got leaked. I was like yesterday years old when I learned this. It was pretty recent that I learned that they actually, like, really fucked up some American troops. And then Trump bombed them the last time, they killed this major leader. And but that was a bombing, it wasn't a war. And I had heard that there was, like, escalation where Iran kept doing little things like attacking ships and like they were trying to escalate things. And then they're just saying they're not going to negotiate with us. And they're talking about, like, taunting that they would hurt Trump, and the rumor is that they might have been behind at least assassination attempts on him. So my question was, like, how much of it are you going to take? Like, are you some sort of asset of a foreign government that you just will do nothing as they, like, are taunting you? Or are you afraid of looking so weak that you have to do something? And it seemed to be escalating, and I was going to bed on Friday night after we recorded our episode, and I looked at my phone. I looked up when Operation Midnight Hammer happened, like what time, and it said between 2 and 3:30 in the morning. And I fell asleep thinking about that. And when I woke up, he had bombed Iran at that exact, time chunk. And I was so skeptical because I didn't know if the guys bought and paid for it. I couldn't believe they waited so long.
It felt too long. Like, I understand, like, like the sleeping dragon or whatever, and like you let the little guy pick at you until the right opportunity. But we've talked about it many times, like 3 or 4 episodes now since we first brought it up. Like, the time felt right a month or more ago. It was surprising to me, like, how much more are you going to take?
So, I don't know how much to believe of it, because there's so much about politics that's optics. And what you can control, what you decide to tell the public, whether it's true or not. But some people were saying it took the Israelis years to hack the Ayatollah's security cameras.
Whoa.
But that they finally got through. They knew exactly where he was, and that's when they did it. Like, they were close, and, at a certain point, Trump was like, the Israelis are telling me to wait. And I thought, like, bullshit. Like, and...
The Israelis what?
Are telling me to wait. And I thought, like, I doubt it. Like, what the hell? But they were saying, if this is true, that Mossad was making all of these big moves, and that until they were, like, certain that they were gonna kill all the major players, and I killed, I think, 48, including the Ayatollah. They didn't want to go forward because it's like, you have to make sure this is the only opportunity. You have to make sure that you topple this regime. And possibly that's true, that they just waited.
I can't even, and like, for a few reasons, right? But I can't even think of, like, the top most powerful 48 people in the United States. And like, we have the contingency plan if the president is no longer able to preside, or the vice president even is out, and then we go to the speaker. But like, can you imagine the 48 topmost officials?
And the thing is, like, you got these No Kings protests here. If it was like, oh, they killed the 48 most important members of the U.S. government, we're gonna bring in Don Jr., like they are with this Iranian regime, I'd get my cyanide capsule.
Yeah, like, I can't think of the 48th most competent person. Not that the government is run on competence, but, like, who is that person, right? Like, are we wheeling out Mitch McConnell at that point?
He's, like, communicating to us, like, with blinks and, like, some sort of straw.
But, in all seriousness, we've talked about what the people of Iran, especially the women of Iran, are going through and have been going through since the 1970s. And we've gotten emotional about it. Like, the implications of what this is, I don't think can be overstated. I think this could be potentially, if it's done right, if it's done to completion, this could be an incredible, like, intersection for the Middle East right now. This could be a crazy turning point. And to add to that, like, it's not just Iran and Israel and the US. Iran kind of, like, went nuts and started making enemies all over the place. They've bombed dozens of countries at this point. So we have coordinated defensive effort, not just with like the U.S. and Israel, but we're seeing the UAE get involved, Qatar's involved, Saudi Arabia's involved. Like, this is a big deal. Like, we're all kind of working together here against a major player.
And that's what happens when a regime like this, on its last legs, decides to bomb everybody. Yeah. Everybody around them. They hit Qatar. And it's like, who do you think's going to bail you out now? Yeah. You're bombing everybody who might have saved your ass.
Yeah. And like, I guess I sort of understand the logic of like, if this is going to be my end, let us make it such an end, you know, kind of thing. I understand the desperate moves of a dying regime, but I guess in a way, like, I don't want to minimize, you know, the innocent people who have like been injured and killed through all this, but like in a way I'm grateful for these like wild, like swan song, like dying death knell attacks, because they're bringing the rest of us closer together and like coordinating us. And I think that's honestly like it's a best case scenario, right?
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be interesting what happens going forward. I mean, that's a silly thing to say, but I keep thinking about all the different directions this could go. Like, there are people in the Democratic Party who are all of a sudden popping up and saying, like, we have to strengthen our relationship with Turkey because Turkey is going to be the new Iran. It's the dangerous player that is pretty powerful. And my thought is, I was looking at what we spend on entitlements versus what we spend on military. And also it's like the role of government is to protect us and none of the things that entitlements do, based on, you know, what the Constitution actually lays out. And I thought, oh man, if we just got rid of all these entitlement programs, we could have a baller military who topples all of these terrible regimes. And wouldn't that be great to take out Turkey and then tell Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all the money men, listen, do you want to play at the big kids table or do you want to end up like them? Yeah. Because that's, I think, what I would do. And now, something else that is worthy of mention is that there are protests in the streets of Cuba and people are begging Trump to bomb them.
Okay, so we didn't plan to talk about this like live, like the way we're doing. I know it's recorded and it's going to be edited, but it's live while we're having this conversation. So I keep seeing Cuba being brought into this conversation. Yeah. Talk about Iran in the Caribbean, off the coast of Cuba. We see all these memes that are comparing, like, it'll show flags of like Iran with a lion, Cuba and Venezuela, like all together. So I feel like I'm getting like the general like mood and sense that Cuba is part of the conversation, but I haven't heard anybody like actually explain why that's happening, or like, are there like rumblings that we're going to do anything at all with Cuba? Like, why is Cuba a thing?
I think it's twofold. Like, you can look at Venezuela and see like how far they fell and how fast. Sure. And know that in, I believe it was 1940, they were the fourth largest economy in the world. Like, they had that much money. Wow. Because of oil.
I didn't know that Cuba had oil.
Oh, no, Venezuela.
Oh, Venezuela.
Okay. So Venezuela was like a big deal, right? And they fell very far, very fast. But before we had the horror that is, you know, running out of toilet paper and people eating pets and zoo animals in Venezuela, Cuba has been impoverished for a very, very long time. And I think people are probably like, hey, we got skipped. If you live in Cuba, and there's no more patriotic American than a Cuban immigrant. So I feel like there's a couple things at play. There's that, and the fact that these are Americans who really, really, really vote Republican. And Marco Rubio's presence in this administration. I wonder if they're like, homeboy, what about us?
Yeah, so is, like, to your knowledge, at least with what you've seen, because you're way more informed and, like, on the pulse than I am, do you know if there's any kind of serious talk about Cuba whatsoever?
I think what's interesting is that it's almost impossible to know what happens next. And I say that because I think this administration, obviously, like, they want to be hard to read. It's part of the game plan. But I think part of it is actually that it's an intimidation factor. I think it might be more like if we tease stuff, we can control more than if we don't do anything, you know, like, so I think that they want to scare Mexico.
Okay.
I've heard talk of overthrowing Mexico.
Oh my God.
And I've heard talk of, you know, like they're going to go to war with all the drug cartels. They won't overthrow the government, but they'll take out the cartels. They'll bomb them like these are terrorists. They're narco terrorists. And
explain my face right now.
she's melting in front of me, guys. She's like, whoa.
This is like Vietnam times 1,000. You can't fucking take the drug cartels.
No, I agree with that. And why would you want to? I believe in freedom. Yay, drugs for all. But I feel like Cuba, if you were going to do it, like if you're just toppling everything, like Cuba, the people would love you. That you'd make Cuba a state. And all those people, you're going to win that state every time. It'd be bright red.
Cuba can be like Puerto Rico's brother, and they can hang out there in the Gulf of America and do American things.
And I don't really know a lot about Cuba apart from like a love of baseball and cigars and a hatred of communism from the people, but the government is like,
and they have a lot of perfectly preserved classic cars. Because they couldn't import, so like their vehicles generally were American, so they took really good care of them. They have beautiful 40s, 50s, 60s vehicles.
And I know I've seen pictures, you know, like aerial pictures of how the elites live versus the impoverished people. But my question is, can you turn where the elites lived into some kind of resort very easily? And make it like a tourist destination and fix the economy, or would it be so much work that you end up like the people in Puerto Rico where they're way poorer than they should be living in the United States?
I gotta say, like Cuba, I had like these weird ideas as a kid that felt really big and really important, and one of them was I remember my dad teaching me that perpetual motion was like not solved. Like it was a theory and it was a good idea, but no one had ever achieved it. And that really bothered me. And I wanted to live long enough for somebody to solve perpetual motion, not realizing at that age that like it's a paradox. Like it's not meant to be solved. But that was, like, a big deal to me as a little kid. Like, I felt really strongly that I was going to be alive when someone figured that out. And the other thing that I felt really strongly about was Cuba. And I remember hearing that you weren't allowed to go visit there. That there was the trade embargo and there was the travel restriction that, like, U.S. citizens were not allowed to go to Cuba. And I remember when Obama opened that up.
Yeah.
And now we're allowed to travel there. It felt like this like little girl's dream that I had. I was so fucking excited. I was like, I feel like I'm living to see the end times. Like this is the biggest deal. And so even though I don't know that I'll ever really go to Cuba, it feels like a big deal to me. Like that I hope they succeed. I want to see them do well. It's a Caribbean country that should have the wealth and stuff that other tourist destinations do. And I don't know, maybe I'm rambling, but I just mean to say I hope they do well. I want to see them succeed.
I actually, you know, speaking of something that just doesn't make any sense, it's like I used to think about the trade embargo a lot and like when it was kind of a controversy that Obama opened it back up there, went to a baseball game, all this stuff. I was thinking, like, it's kind of funny that they talk about the human rights violations there, but we trade with China. And to me, I thought, you either do it all or you do none of it. And it's really just not logical that we're not going to trade with China.
Yeah.
So why are we not trading with Cuba? And so
it feels like a punishment that a tiny country can barely handle the weight of.
So me, it was an irony that Obama opened it up when he's not ever, I think, going to be called a free trade guy. And I was just like, it's so funny that I realized that I'm pro trading with everybody. I'm free trade all the time. And it's this guy who doesn't understand economics who finally opened it up.
So all that said, I'm really hopeful for the people of Iran, especially the women. I think this could be, like we said, a major crossroads, and and all the things we hope for them, and all the things we felt like could happen if America got involved, if Israel got involved. Like, at this point, it almost feels a little naive to hope for it, but I am still hoping for it, and only time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, and like people might call me hawkish. I feel like I'm not like a police the world type where I think we need to be involved in everything, and I'm not a dove either. So I'm kind of like, what's between a hawk and a dove? Like a screech owl.
Seagull. Aggressive, scrappy, domestic.
Like demanding a french fry. Something like that.
Seagull.
Okay. Lesbian seagull. That's all. That's a real song, by the way.
And it's not talking about seagulls from the Isle of Lesbos. It's talking about homosexual seagulls.
They mate for life, and they can sometimes be two chicks.
Oh my god.
So,
the song
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Why?
Look it up.
Yeah. Like, why the animal behavioralist bend? And I'm grateful for the education. Like, what the fuck?
So yeah, I'm an aggressive lesbian seagull. And
I'm bisexual.
Yeah, I am too, but I'm way more nearer that side, and I'm willing to admit this. That said, it's like, I'm so glad that somebody did it, because somebody needed to kill the Ayatollah. It had to happen.
I think there was a lot of audacity there. There was a lot of threats, and like posturing and like hubris, like just unchecked hubris and ambition. And to your point, yeah, somebody needed to do something, and here we are. So I hope the story continues. I hope that the people actually get to enjoy like a Western values capitalistic society like it used to be.
Yeah, and if we pulled them out, we'd have no better friends. Like, for the United States and Israel, I feel like we would finally have greater control in that region again, and it would be a lasting peace between at least three countries.
Some really pivotal and powerful allies in a region where, you know, that's hard to come by for the United States.
So, speaking of Mideast conflict, we got to talk about my once homeboy, Thomas Massie, a representative from Kentucky who formerly was my favorite member of Congress, but I learned a valuable lesson about how you should never trust anyone willing to run for office. So, Tom Massie, loved the guy, thought he was like pure kind of libertarian, Rand Paul vibes, but basically maybe even better than that. And I liked that he didn't seem to like Trump and wasn't afraid to say it.
Yeah, we've talked about him a few times on this show, and he seems reasonable and like an intellectual, like somebody who thinks for themselves, doesn't necessarily vote along party lines. We've liked him.
Yeah, so he often pointed out, like, I will vote with Republicans, it was something like 89% or 90% of the time, but not when they're doing something unconstitutional. And I was like, hey, I love that. Like, I can get along with that. And then I started to see in his tweets, like, the tone was changing. And it seemed not just, like, anti-Israel, but it was bordering on, like, I don't like Jews. And it was kind of freaking me out because this guy had been my hero for, like, years. And so I was kind of confronting him about it. When we used to follow each other, he just unfollows me. So,
like a real man.
Yeah, and then I also learned that he's blocking people, which they're not supposed to as members of Congress. So he's blocking people on Twitter.
Is that like a rule?
Yes, like it was ruled upon, I think, at the Supreme Court.
What, like a law?
Yeah, like you're not allowed to shut down the public communication on Twitter.
Oh, I can die knowing that there are laws about social media.
Well, I think it was like the Supreme Court said you can't do that. And I'm not really sure how that came about, but I was pretty sure it was a rule. And then I looked it up when I saw he's blocking people. And I thought, this is getting suspicious. So I had just said to Hannah last week that if he hates the Israel lobby because they throw money at people, that doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is why doesn't he ever talk about the Qatar lobby? So if you think foreign money should not be going to any congressman, I agree with that. 100%.
I think money from any faction with an interest should never reach a congressperson.
Yeah.
Ever.
So, like, when you really think about our revolution and people saying that we are taxed and we don't have representatives, when you think about these super PACs, whether they're foreign or not, to Hannah's point, they're paying for influence. People are doing what they say, and they're not really representing their constituents. They're just doing whatever the money wants them to do, which is really messed up. All this said, I told Hannah that, and I am really pro-Israel, so I have bias, and I didn't know that anything was going to come of what I had just said. And then I woke up today. I suck at iPhone. And I saw this page called the Golden Age Times was trending, and the post was this. While on the subject of Tom Massie receiving a lot of 7K donations, which we'll swing back to, from the Maroc family, which we learn is a Palestinian family. They were refugees who own a bunch of CarMax car dealerships. So they gave all these $7,000 donations to Thomas Massie, and they're Palestinians. And he also received $7K from Bill Gates' son Rory, who's a mega donor for Democrats. He received donations from a donor who also donated heavily to Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, whose name is so long and so Arabic, I won't even try to pronounce it.
Can't even hazard a guess. Huh?
Exactly, I am that white. And then also a 7K payment from a Rockefeller heir, George O'Neill, who had a history of sexually abusing women alleged and ties to sex traffickers.
Alleged.
And he did have dinner with him in February of 2017. And it's weird because Tom Massie and all these people who hate Israel would say that somebody like me, who doesn't even have a blue check, who may never reach 2,000 followers on Twitter, is being paid $7,000 a post for everything pro-Israel. Hannah and I wouldn't have full-time jobs if anybody was...
Dude, if somebody wants to give me $7K for posting an opinion on social media,
yeah, I'm
here to say I'll consider it.
We would take it, and here's why. I'm pro-Israel anyway. So I would take that free money all day. But that is something that Douglas Murray, a UK journalist who I love, he wrote in his recent book about death cults. You know, it's a book about Islam and everybody who defends it, that these people use projectionism all the time. And they are accusing us of taking 7K, and here's Tom Massie taking exactly 7K from a bunch of pro-Islamist sources, including a super PAC that is an anti-Zionist super PAC. There's some of these, the names are on here. The Anti-Zionist American PAC. The Citizens Against AIPAC PAC, which is a pro-Israel PAC. Ilhan for Congress. Like, it's kind of insane what's going on here.
I think, like, just to interrupt for a second, to me, you can have a super PAC about almost anything, sure. I guess, right? So it's weird to me that there are anti-Zionist super PACs, that there are any type of opinion followed by a country super PACs. Like, how about American politics is just about America and we let the diplomats decide diplomacy? I don't understand. Like, to your point, if you're going to go around and accuse people of being pro-Israel and taking money of being pro-Israel, why aren't we hearing any sort of accusations about money changing hands to be pro-Yemen, pro-India, pro-Australia? Like, that's not something you hear about. That's just super weird, right?
Well, and to me, it's funny because each of these probably, I mean, the anti-Zionist one is pretty spot on, but I think most of them would have like a veiled name. You could be like the PAC to Save America, and really like that's your Qatar one that is, by the way, 4 times as large in terms of the money spent as anything that's Israel what I'm does.
So you have a super PAC about Israel, you have a super PAC about Qatar. Listen, like, you know my opinions on both of these countries behind closed doors. I don't understand why there should be PACs associated with them, pro or con. It's weird.
Well, I know it's weird. At the same time, you know, if Qatar is going to spend money to indoctrinate American kids in colleges, like, you know, the money trail is there. They spend tons of money on, like, Harvard and Yale's campus, Stanford, and probably really like things like Columbia that are super far left. If they're paying there and our Congress people who love us so much are willing to take it, I think it makes sense for them because basically Congress is supposed to have the power to declare war, and maybe if you pay enough, you can control the most powerful country on earth. But it begs the question, are we the most powerful country? Or is it whoever is paying us?
I feel like, you know, just like with evolution, you know, because I'm like, I'm a biology major, so like I think in terms of like science and like life science in particular. So in the terms of politics, you bring up the question, like, are we the most powerful country? Well, the stage is always changing, right? Like, the challenges are always changing. So what worked to make us probably without a doubt the most powerful country, like post-World War II, like in the 50s or whatever, like the stage is completely unrecognizably different now. So you have the internet, you have like globalization in terms of like social media and communication. And so now you have this whole new game of like propaganda sharing and like manipulating the populace from overseas. Yeah. And so in terms of like, are we the most powerful country anymore? It's like, well, the challenges are completely different. You have a government in the Middle East trying to manipulate people, like everyday citizens, via social media or like, you know, any type of media. Can we rise and meet that challenge? Like, we're obviously like the number one like apex predator in a lot of ways, in a lot of challenges, and in many stages. Like we win, we are dominant. But like here you have like sort of like a more subversive intellectual, like, dogma challenge, can we also dominate that game? I don't think that answer is known yet. I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot about that. Honestly, like who controls us?
Mm-hmm.
And I also think about whether or not we can have any control back ever again because of these pacts existing, when you would have to rely on Congress to ban them, and they are the ones taking all the money. They would never do that. They would never vote for that. So my thought is, how do you put a check on that? And I think about the founders and what I think they would do. And I feel like a state militia would arrest a congressperson who took foreign money or something like that. Like they would, if it was an enemy, they would be tried for treason.
I was going to say tar and feather.
Yeah. And I feel like if they weren't an enemy, there'd probably still be serious consequences. At the very least, you should be banned from ever serving in Congress. Like if you take money from Israel, which is a foreign country, even if I'm pro, you shouldn't be able to be in Congress.
No, taking foreign money, I agree with you. Taking foreign money is treason.
If it's an enemy, you know?
I think it is either way. Like, if your interests lie with another country in that manner, then you can't say that your loyalty is to the United States. Your loyalty is to your wallet, and your wallet is being courted by whomever the fuck.
Yeah.
Whether it be like France or England or Qatar.
And I said it to my brother because, you know me, I have such a clean vernacular. I said it to my brother, Thomas Massie. What a boner killer he turned out to be.
Yeah, what a shitbag.
And I don't think I've ever been so disappointed in anyone. And I have parents who didn't first accept me when I came out.
Aw, honey. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, like, Tom Massey, like, what a fucking loser, right? So, okay, so there's these rumors going around, right, that, like, we've heard this before. Like, if you support Israel, it's because you're taking $7,000 increment payments from the state of Israel to put your social media stuff in favor of them. Like, we've talked about this, right? Like,
yeah.
It's a known stereotypical accusation. Like, of course you're pro-Israel. You're probably getting $7,000 payments from them.
Mm-hmm.
And what the fuck turns out to be the reality? $7,000 payments for being, what, anti-Israel?
Yes.
Pro-Palestine? Like, whatever you want to call it. So, immediately when Ash told me this earlier this week, it was like, oh, it's the sleazy guy you meet in college who's like, oh, my girl's cheating on me. Like, oh, why didn't you answer me in 5 seconds the text I sent you? Are you cheating on me, aren't you? And of course, that's the person who accuses you of cheating because they're the cheater. And it just reminds me of, like, this, like, scumbag loser, like, I don't know even what to call it. Like, this pushy guy who has all these rules and suspicions and is so quick to anger. And it's like every accusation that this asshole you dated in college had was because they themselves were doing it.
And I realized because of this comparison that Hannah made that I can go on 3 dates with men, turn them down, never be with them, marry a woman, and Tom Massey is still the boyfriend who gaslit me. He tricked me, Hannah.
I know.
I feel taken advantage of.
I know, and I'm sorry. All I can say is that, like, some assholes don't grow up.
No, and
they're still trying to steal your toys, and they're still trying to win the game by cheating, and they're still trying to get all the tokens at the end.
And I swear, like, it's weird. His wife passed away, and he got rid of his glasses. He married some young thing, and he always had this, like, curly, wet hair. Mm-hmm. He's the geekiest man.
No, I know what he looks like, because we used to love him.
And then all of a sudden, now it's, like, long and flowing like a river, and, like, styled. And it's just like, no, you became the guy who took whatever you wanted and decided you were cool enough, decided you deserve this, no matter what the consequences were for Americans, what the consequences were for Jews, what the consequences were for anybody, because you were more important. So I say this with pain in my heart. Fuck you, Tom Massie.
Yeah, fuck you, man. What a disappointment.
I know. Womp womp. That's my boner dying.
I'm gonna try to be profound here, and I'm gonna quote Tyra Banks from the docuseries on Netflix regarding her trash bag show, America's Next Top Model, and just say, there are no sacred cows.
Oh.
She loves it. There are no sacred cows. And I'm sorry that Tom Massie turned out to be the asshole you dodged dating in college. But, some people don't change and some stereotypes are true.
But I will say that something that may have saved me from actual men is that Tom Massie is not hyper masculine, so I never would have looked at him in college.
Well, good.
It's funny.
He would have broken your heart, babe. He would have been like, you're cheating. Where's your Snapchat location?
And I'd be like, what's Snapchat?
What's a Snapchat?
In college, did it exist? I don't know.
In college? No, I don't think it did.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better. The first time I saw people using it, I think I was about 26. I don't know. I'm really dating myself here.
It was post-college for sure. I can't say like what year, but
I know where I was working, but I won't own to it.
It was post my time abroad, and I was abroad from 2010 to 2012, so it was after that, I'm pretty sure.
You're still abroad, baby. The best one ever.
I am abroad. I cannot change my chromosomes.
The dad jokes are coming with the rum, I think.
And the whiskey. So, to wrap up episode 30, we had thought about making our poll question, do you think Tom Massie is a fucktwat, waffle bullshitter, or do you think he's a good person? But we knew that wasn't an interesting question and that it would be one-sided. So, Ash, why don't you tell them what we came up with instead?
So my thought is to have you guys leave us comments, or you can email us at redwhiteandbi@gmail.com. It's the word and. What do you think should be the punishment for taking foreign money as a member of Congress? Do your worst, listeners.
Yeah, points for creativity here. We talked about tar and feathering. There's also drawn and quartering. There's all kinds of things that maybe the world has never even heard of. So get your thinking caps on, be creative, be descriptive. What do you think is a fair and just comeuppance for taking money from other countries?
This could get dark.
I'm here for it. And I think, you know what? I think our listeners are too.
Yeah. Well, we are grateful that you've stuck by us for 30 episodes.
Oh my God.
She said, oh my God.
Oh my God. It's so many episodes. I think it's pretty cool. I did, by the way, look up our 1-year anniversary, and I think I might surprise you with it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think when we're recording near or on that date, I'll tell you then.
Okay, sounds good. If you guys got any guesses, you'll probably find it on Spotify.
Yeah, if you have any guesses, you can easily confirm it just by 10 seconds of searching.
But don't spoil it for me.
Anyway, guys, thanks so much for listening. 30 feels like a big deal, and we're glad you're here. We're going to keep this up for a while until we hear from you guys. Otherwise,
have a nice weekend, lovelies. Bye.
Bye.